Welcome to the KPC Smart Money Podcast with Karen and Kevin Christ. So, yeah, this is a really good. I just love this topic. It does have a financial angle.
Oh, sure, it is about smart money.
Well, that's right. And if anybody, sometimes we talk about things like, mission trips to Ecuador and so on. But this has financial ramifications. And anybody who's taken a pet to the vet,
Yes.
to the vet, that rhymes. Anybody who's had any major issues with their pet knows that it's not like the old days where you went and your parents got a $15 bill.
Right.
I remember our dog Janie, her name was. My parents lived on the beach in Florida, and Janie was used to, when the fishermen were reeling the fish in on the beach, she used to try to bite the fish when they were coming in, and she did one time, and she got hooked in the mouth, and it was like a $15 bill. So what we're going to talk about today is, how to save money on vet and other pet care costs, and should you buy pet insurance? So why don't you get us started on that?
Well, most pet owners are very aware that an injury can happen to your fur baby, your beloved companion, at any time. And you know that those bills can be expensive. If you're going to own a animal, dog, cat, bird, whatever, you should realize that you are signing up for care and feeding and all of that for a very long time. And so you should already have budgeted for your food costs, your litter costs, the shots that they all need when they're young. You need to plan for those. But what we're talking about today are the surprises, the injuries.
Yeah. Here's an example here. These people, I won't give their names or anything, but, the cat, they had two cats. One was named Woogie. Okay, well, Woogie and the other cat were jumping up and down on the bed and fell through the cracks at the end of the bed and yanked its leg out. They think it got caught in a spring or something. But this cat broke his leg in two places, tore ligaments in his ankle. Now check this out. His surgery, which included placing pins in the fractures and mesh around the ligaments, and his hospital stay, pain meds, and other costs totaled $6,500, which the couple paid out of pocket.
Yeah. Well, we had our cat who ended up having asthma later in life, and she couldn't breathe. We ended up, of course it always happens on the weekends, right? We ended up taking her to a vet hospital, and they threw her in a box that gave her air, and that was $2,000. I mean, it wasn't cheap.
It was. You didn't tell me
I didn't tell you that. So here's a common one. Let's say you have a dog. Dogs eat lots of stuff they're not supposed to.
Yes.
So let's just say your dog swallows an object that causes an intestinal blockage. The cost to treat it averages $3,000, and it could run as high as $7,000 if it ends up being a complex surgery to take out whatever they decided to swallow. So pet insurance can help offset some or most of the costs of paying a veterinarian to diagnose, treat, or manage a pet's illness or injury, okay? This insurance could help owners avoid having to choose what's called economic euthanasia. And that's just letting an animal that you love go because you just simply can't afford that kind of bill. And I find most people will figure out a way to pay that really big bill versus, putting their beloved animal down. So, there are several large pet insurance companies that represent about 84% of the pet insurance market nationwide: Trupanion, Pet Plan, and the ASPCA. Now, most of these plans cover cats and dogs. Maybe you might get birds or other animals, but we're predominantly talking about cats and dogs here.
So, Karen, as with health insurance, pet plans include deductibles, co-pays, monthly premiums, and have coverage limitations. You foot the bills yourself and wait for reimbursement, right?
Yep.
So they don't bill for you.
Right.
You have to turn in the claims. The average accident and illness premiums cost $594 a year for a dog, or $50 a month around, and $342 for a cat, close to $30 a month. But the costs rise depending on your pet's breed. Purebreds cost more to insure because they're more susceptible to some hereditary conditions. Well, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And the age. If
Age
your age
definitely matters.
Yeah, that's right. And the zip code, right? If you live out in the country, I bet it probably costs less.
Right.
Medical treatment for dogs costs more than cats. So, some plans like the one sold by the ASPCA limit coverage to what we call the usual and customary cost based on veterinary pricing in your area.
Yeah, very much like regular medical insurance. But if you're considering a policy, they're going to quote you for free. You want to dig into it. What are the terms and conditions? And if you can, get a sample policy. Insurance is insurance. The devil's in the detail, okay? Consider coverage with simple, percentage-based payouts and no reliance on judgments for what's reasonable to avoid any future headaches. And then you want to find out how your premiums are going to increase as your pet ages. So, another pet insurer is Healthy Paws. Now, they give you different deductibles, which is kind of nice because you can pick 100, 250, 500. You might want to pick that higher deductible 500. It's way the heck better than 5,000, and it will keep your annual premiums down. So just realize that you might have annual limits on, diagnosis, emergency, hospitalization. So really the moral of this story is, yes, it can be very expensive if a pet has an injury, and we're talking with 3 zeros on the end of it. And you can help cover that cost with pet insurance. And it's really up to you. How active are your dogs and cats? And, but you really are rolling the dice, because many policies may not be worth the cost over many years for a basically generally healthy animal. So what else can you do to save on pet care bills?
Well, Karen, if the idea of paying for pet insurance doesn't appeal to you, you set up a dedicated savings account for unanticipated health care costs. Nobody does that, but yeah, you could do that. According to the 2020-2021 American Pet Producers Association National Pet Owners Survey, dog owners spend on average $242 on routine vet visits and $458 on surgical visits per year. For cats, the average are $178 and $201, respectively. You can add enough money each year to the fund to roughly cover these costs just in case. The insurance, so look, let's talk about insurance in general. The definition, I remember this from my test 35 years ago. The
purpose of insurance
is a transfer of risk.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're trying to cover yourself is from having to put your pet down because you don't have $6,000 or $7,000 laying around to pay the vet bill. So, like Karen says, maybe you'll opt for a higher deductible, like $500, and then 70-30 co-insurance instead of 90-10. The premiums will be lower, more affordable, and at least and the vet will know that they're going to get some payment, and you can work out the rest later, right? So
I think that pet insurance is a good thing. If a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 vet bill is going to substantially hurt you financially, that's when I think insurance might be a good idea. But if you are disciplined, if you are a saver, if you open up a little, fur baby savings account and just throw some money in there. There are other, some things you can do. Hey, ask your vet what vaccines you can skip. They may not all be necessary. Go ahead and spend the money to guard against parasites and flea and tick, and get the heartworm and the things that really can cost some big bucks. And for Pete's sake, spay or neuter your pet at this point, because then you can avoid health problems like uterine, ovarian, testicular cancers. And not only that, when it comes to spraying or spaying or neutering your pet, there's lots of local shelters and local SPCAs that will either do it at no cost or at very low cost. So we hope that's helpful. Take care of your pets, your fur babies, and we hope we gave you some ideas on how to make sure that you don't get a big financial burden if something happens to them. So you've been listening to Karen and Kevin Christ on KPC Smart Money Podcast.
You've been listening to the KPC Smart Money Podcast with Kevin and Karen Christ. To listen to more episodes, visit kpcsmartmoney.com. You can also find the KPC Smart Money Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher.
KPC Financial Solutions is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through KPC Financial Solutions, LLC, a registered investment company. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any reference to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. KPC Financial Solutions is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by KPC Financial Solutions. Hypothetical examples have been provided for illustrative purposes only. It does not represent a real-life scenario and should not be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation.